Thank you all for responding to our survey. Again, it's totally anonymous. Just helps us gauge where people are at on a given day. There'll be another one at the end. That way we can kind of get a sense of before and after, see which classes are working. You know, we tweak things all the time. Every time we do mindful steps, we do new things. So no exception today. I'm going to get going just because we are, limited in time, and I'm going to do some of the science today. I'm ending with a little, if you have to cut out early, a little picture, and I want to begin with it too, a little picture of my daughter walking. When she first started to walk, she often fell. And, it's about taking steps. And I want that theme to carry throughout the day that, we're going to talk about, doing these practices, hopefully incorporating some longer sessions, but building up to it and realizing times you'll be able to do longer sessions, at times you won't, at times you'll be doing mindfulness, at times you'll totally forget about it. That's all part of the process. So I wanted to start with that non-judgmental attitude. So I wanted to give you some background on like how I enter the mindfulness field to show where my perspective comes from. This is me here. It was in 2004. There started to become these dialogues with, this is, a really renowned geneticist talking to the Dalai Lama. There were Christian leaders, there were, secular leaders, there were all scientists, there were all these people having dialogues of how to bring stress relief to people in a way that was secular and also scientifically vetted, something that has rigorous science behind it rather than just, oh, I feel kind of good. People will do anything to please an experimenter. So there was some very crappy research done in the 70s going into the 80s, and over when I entered the field in 2000s, I was told I might jeopardize my career by entering such a fringe field. And you can see and mindfulness is everywhere now. You go to Lowe's and can find you know magazines with mindfulness on the cover, right? And that's sort of the thing, right? For every original article in a scientific journal, there are tens of thousands of media articles. It's kind of a hot topic. And of course, you know what media likes to do? They like to hype, they like to have clickbait. And so sometimes you can't necessarily get a very accurate view and a representational view of mindfulness. Like the news is, it works very well for some people. It might not work for everyone, but it does have good science behind it. So I'm going to review just a couple studies today. One is a meta-analysis. It was done in 2014, and it looked at 50 of the best studies out there at the time. These are studies that had blinded, randomized control. They had, really nice, a large number of subjects. And they found that for anxiety, depression, and pain, the effect size was similar to things like Prozac, things like exercise, and other well-studied therapies. This is not to say that you should abandon other therapies. No way. But it is a great complement and can produce in many people a good result. Prozac, for example, along with mindfulness, only helps about a third of people in a way that's clinically significant. It may help in terms of stress and quality of life for everyone. So how does it work? Well, body changes can happen even at the cellular level, which is what I'm going to talk about today. It can change what your DNA is putting into your bloodstream. That's pretty remarkable. It can stop stress hormones from being produced and turn the cells into producing, you know, good for long-term health chemicals. It also does brain changes, which I'll talk about next week. So first I want to talk a little background on stress. Cortisol, we all kind of maybe have heard of. It's the stress hormone. It is great for short-term stuff, but for long-term, it causes digestive problems. If anyone's ever had like a stomach ache or flutters in the stomach, you might know what I mean. Increased blood pressure, you can get high blood sugar, immune impairment, and for women, it can affect fertility. Also, when you're stressed, you shut down everything that's not related to fight flight behaviors. That means things that fight antioxidation, free radicals. So free radicals are something that, oops, you can see the tomato here. It is rotting. That's what makes things rot. And our body is inundated with stuff that is causing cells to die all the time. And normally we produce something in our cells that helps combat that. They absorb the free radicals and stop them from, aging us, stop us from attacking our body. When we are doing something like fleeing a tiger who's trying to eat us, we want to shut that down because all holds bar. We are going to fight or flight or flee that tiger. And what we want to do then is shunt our blood, to the muscles that need it. So we increase that blood pressure, our heart rate goes up, and we raise our blood sugar because the muscles are going to need that sugar so we can run as fast as we can. Great for short-term survival, terrible for long-term survival. So nowadays we might not be running from tigers, but maybe I thought I would open it up in the chat. What's eating you? Are there any stresses that we experience on a daily basis? Maybe you're not experiencing it now, maybe you're thinking about other people, but does anyone want to share the type of daily stressors that kind of feel like they eat at us?
Hi, Julie, this is Makia. I
Yeah.
work in HR, and a stressor that I've been dealing with is I had recently gotten married and we're working on getting the thank yous out, but just the idea of making sure that they're out in a timely manner is a stressor on me. It's not
Oh
a
my
very
gosh.
enjoyable thing. I mean, I definitely want to thank the people, but it's just one of those pieces I tend to procrastinate on. So the deadlines are
It took
stressful.
me 6 months, and we were married in August, and then it turned into Christmas cards.
That makes me feel better. Thank you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to share?
Hi, this is Tiffany. And I would say my stressors right now are just trying to keep up with the house and the yard work in addition to regular work. So,
Yeah. Yeah, balancing home and work. Oh, very hard. Anyone else? I put a few things up on here. The first one was the deadline one. It always seems to be a bunch of deadlines in different domains of life that are kind of bothering us. Oh, wait, there's a couple chats. Let me look at what they are. Echoes of past relationship struggles. And yeah, having a busy day and trying to fit everything in is really, really difficult. So thank you guys for sharing. Another one could be either receiving criticism or having to give criticism. I have to, for example, evaluate my students. It feels terrible when I have to give a criticism, and I would be criticized if I wasn't accurate in those. And I know that some, you know, people in positions of leadership have to give criticism and critiques. That is so hard, as well as receiving them. Um, I just was in a meeting today where that was talked about. Financial issues, sick, caring for someone in family or worrying for someone who's sick. Um, Also, if you have kids, for some reason you have to feed them. Um, I forgot, school snack day last week and was like, oh no, I have to like skip this thing and like run to the store and quick get this, everything. There's these and interpersonal conflicts, whether they're current or echoes of the past, like one of our attendees was talking about. There tends to be so much. And the other thing that unfortunately that we have that maybe other people don't have is the news. We have the whole burden of the world's woes that seems to, come up. We just want to see our aunt's new baby, and we look on social media and we have all this terrible news coming up alongside it, right? And so this residue from all these different types of stresses that we're trying to handle are like residues that build up. and none of them are completely resolved on any given day. And it's like a sludge. It's kind of like a yucky sludge that builds up. And with the cortisol, it starts to fray us and makes us feel like we're barely hanging on at times. So mindfulness can provide some SOS meditations that help with just putting little pauses in your day. We didn't do it today, which we will do this next week, but doing just a couple mindful breaths can be really helpful. We can do that even just right now. So in just taking 3 breaths, feel the temperature of your breath as you breathe in and out. That literally took seconds, and I can feel the energy in myself change. Maybe you guys aren't presenting and don't have that kind of energy of having to do that, but I find that doing a few breaths is like closing a whole bunch of browser tabs, and all of a sudden I freed up the CPU and my PowerPoint isn't, hanging up, right? Laurel, do you want to talk about the color finding exercise that you sometimes suggest?
Yes, I saw that on there and I'm like, oh, Julie remembers the color finding. Yahoo!
I do it. It's great.
Oh my gosh, it is. And so it's another way to focus. And when we focus on something, guess what? Everything else goes away. So what you focus on does magnify. It's true. It's really true. So what I do and share with my clients and friends is in your room, wherever you are, pick a color, whatever that color is. I'm going to go ahead and say blue because Julie has blue up. If you just want to slowly look around your room and notice everything that's blue and kind of say to yourself, blue, 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 and go around your room slowly, slowly. And then after that, do another color or 2. We won't do that today, but if you do about 3 colors, 3 is the magic number. But doing 1 helps. But then pick another color, whatever color that is, and go around your room and do the same thing. It'll help relax your nervous system. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Laurel. We'll talk about that again, and there's actually some great science behind it too. You could also just choose one yoga posture. So we learned the 6 movements from Heidi. Heidi, what would be your go-to if you were stressed? Like if you had to do just one move from last week, what would you do? I'm putting Heidi on, I'm putting them both on the
That
spot.
is I would say that's an in the moment thing. The key is move. If movement is the thing, if movement is the jam, breathing is movement, but sometimes it's just getting up out of the chair and just standing for a moment. But anything that, if it's comfortable, maybe a side bend. If I had to choose one, put me on the spot, I would say a side bend would be great because it's something that we don't always do. And it just kind of wakes up the trunk of the body and it gives a boost to the breathing body as well.
Well, that feels great. And if you do it, remember you're giving somebody else permission to take a little mini mindful snack too. I love Heidi's use of mindful snacks.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to talk about a little science behind is also the benefits of doing longer practices as well. So if you do something also like a 20-minute yoga and mindfulness combo, you are giving your nervous system and DNA enough time to switch into relaxation mode. So in doing mindfulness, you accommodate everything that arises in this kind of friendly, non-judgmental way. And all this residue that I talked about in the last slide, it starts to be processed. It might come up now and then, like, oh, that past relationship memory that's been bugging me. It kind of came and it went on its own. I didn't have to follow it. I didn't have to stop it. I just let it play. It's gone now. Or maybe something comes up a few times, right? In doing this, you're removing some of that residue and preventing it from building up. It also introduces a relaxation response. What's relaxation response? Well, there was a Harvard scientist Herbert Benson, and he coined the term relaxation response. And he found that a lot of different things can produce it. Everything from time in nature to prayer to yoga, Tai Chi, and mindfulness. But the important thing is that you can get a little relaxation from doing these mindful snacks. But if you do 20 minutes, magical things happen. This is a study they did in 2013. And so you can all pretend you're in the study. You're getting a little blood draw, which might be stressful to some people, but you're checking your DNA levels, like what types of proteins are your, cells making. And then they did 10 minutes of yoga and 10 minutes of meditation. We are going to be doing this today. So it's like you're all in the study. Both mindful movement, mindful sitting. Then they did another blood draw and looked at the difference, seeing what the DNA is producing. And they found that after doing the yoga and meditation, they had more evidence of sustained energy, anti-aging properties, reduced cortisol, that stress hormone, as well as, those molecules that eat up the free radicals. So that's also really good for anti-aging, and increasing insulin, which is good for blood sugar. So now you're not primed for a short-term burst of energy to get rid of get out of the way of a tiger. You're sustaining your energy throughout your day. And again, the magical thing is it's sort of this 20-minute factor. This is what the data actually look like. Here are the experienced meditators. Green is the so-called good in the sense of it for long-term health. It would be opposite if a tiger were chasing you. Green is they're upregulating good stuff, downregulating bad stuff. But the good news is, even people who never meditated before, they just learned, this is their very first time doing yoga and meditation, they were also have a lot more green and red compared to people who were just sitting there doing nothing. They were actually having cellular level changes the very first time they've ever done yoga and meditation. So I think that's a really good message of hope and encouragement. So let's start the actual practices and get our DNA in relaxation mode.
Okay, are we ready to shift our DNA? Oh, wow, tall order. Ooh, let's do it. Thank you, Julie. Oh my gosh, you just put together in 15 minutes so much good stuff. I know you'd all love to hear that again because I've heard it, but every time she presents, it's a little different and maybe a little. It's just awesome. Thank you, Julie. So now we're going to go on to mindfulness meditation on sound. Last week we focused on our breath, and then so now our anchor. I like to use the word anchor. We're going to anchor into the present moment using sound. So I'd like you to imagine that you're a curious 5-year-old again. Try to visualize yourself at 5. If you could see an old picture of yourself in your mind, or just feel it in your body. And I'm going to talk a little bit before we actually close our eyes or fuzzy gaze down. So we're going to pull up that curiosity of a 5-year-old where things are new. Everything was so new, so new. And so we'd like to look at these sounds without judgment. We'd like to, whatever we're hearing, sometimes we hear things and it's not pleasant. We go, oh my God, I wish that would stop, that lawnmower at 8 in the morning. So we're going to try to look at whatever you're hearing from a non-judgmental point of view with curiosity, like you've heard it just for the first time. And you're in awe, like, oh my gosh, what is that sound? I have no idea. And we're going to look at this, we're going to look at the texture of the sound, we're going to feel the pitch of the sound, and I'll guide you through all of that. So we're going to listen to things at a distance, whatever we can hear at a distance, and then we'll come closer to you. So let's just take a deep cleansing breath right now. And let it go with a sigh, or just let it go through your nostrils or mouth. And one more deep cleansing breath. Nice big deep breath up through your lungs. And let that go. And now if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or a fuzzy gaze down. And now we'll just come into an awareness of your breath at first, just to ground us. Feeling your breath in your nostrils. Feeling that easy flow of breath. Letting go of any holding or forcing of breath in any way. Just, again, letting your breath ride like the waves on the ocean. Easy in, easy out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being present in this perfect present moment. Precious present moment. And feeling your feet connected to the earth. Wiggling your toes a bit to feel that connection. And now gently bring your awareness to the most distant sound you can hear. Very faint. And then rest there for a bit. Just notice that distant sound. It may take a while to even tune into a distant sound. And it's okay if there really isn't one. But let it come to you. Let that distant sound come to you. Gently and kindly. And when it does, just take a moment to observe how that feels, that sound. The texture of it. The pitch of it. And being open and curious about it. Oh, I wonder about that sound. Is it heavy or light? Just being with it. Just being with that observation. Breathing into it. And when you find your thoughts wander, just come back to listening to that distant sound again. That distant sound is kind of like your anchor into the present moment. And I'll let you be with that a little bit in silence. Again, when you find yourself lost in a thought about the sound or something else, just gently and kindly bring your awareness back to that distant sound. And rest in that awareness. Notice any thoughts you might have about the sound, and just gently bring your awareness back to the sound itself. Allowing your body to relax into this present moment. Now gently bringing your awareness into the sounds that are more prevalent, a little bit louder, that have been maybe trying to pull your attention to them away from the distant sound. And saying, I'm here, louder sounds. So noticing again these more prevalent, closer to you, maybe louder. Noticing the texture and the pitch, the weight of these sounds or sound. And approaching it with an observer's mind, a beginner's mind, as we say, with curiosity. little bit of wonderment. And just being with those sounds. Fully present with those sounds. Letting go of any sense of control. Letting go into those sounds. Maybe even hearing your heartbeat. Feeling your breath in your body along with the presence of the sounds. Almost feeling a oneness with the sounds. Now very gently and kindly bring your awareness back to your room, your space and time on your seat, your feet grounded to the earth. And slowly open your eyes as you're noticing this experience. Staying with the experience, noticing what you felt, honoring yourself for experimenting and trying this. It's different. So a big thank you to yourself. And we'll talk more about this at the end if you have anything that you'd like to share. So Heidi would like to bring us even more into our body with yoga and breath. Heidi?
Thank you, Laurel. So starting to welcome back a few more senses along with sound. Maybe go back to that looking around for color, to starting to get a little more active into the body. Maybe move the shift around in your seat, starting little movements in the body. So today for our mindful movement, we're going to be doing some standing postures. I'm going to spotlight myself for everybody. If you have it on speaker view, you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing a little bigger. But we're going to be moving into standing postures. Standing postures invite in the whole body, right? We got to stand, we got to hold ourselves up against gravity. And it also brings attention into the lower body, into our anchor, as Laurel was sharing, but into the anchor of the body, the hips, the legs, the feet. So if you are in a space that you can stand and do this, start to get yourself situated. You could have a table next to you, a chair next to you. Actually, a chair would be great today that we're going to be using right off the bat. And also, little thing, if you are comfortable to do so, and if it's available, if you could at least take off your shoes. Now, if you have socks on, you want to keep the socks on, that's great. But if you're able to take off the shoes and let your feet and toes breathe a little bit, that's really awesome, because you can connect a little more to the sensors at the bottom of your feet as we move. So I'm going to scooch back a little bit. So as I'm setting up back here, just want to share that everything I offer in our yoga movement, it's always an invitation. Actually, anything I offer, even beyond movement, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to say with curiosity and play, is this a yes for me or is this a no for me today? Maybe you're in a space where standing up, moving around makes you feel a little uncomfortable. Other people might be watching. That's okay. You can sit and do little bits, or sometimes just visualizing and kind of sensing the body as if it were moving is wonderful mindfulness work too. If you are not able to kind of get up and move, just know you can play this later and watch it again when Anthony sends out the video. Also, with that curiosity of, is this a yes for me today? See where that yes wants to lean into, right? Do you want to be really gentle and soft with your activity today? Is there a little TLC in the body that you just need to honor? Or is that curiosity leaning you into like, oh, I just want to challenge myself in a caring, playful way? And again, allow that yes to be part of your practice. All of that is part of this idea of listening and sound, listening to that inner wisdom, and listening to the feeling tone. We can think of tone and music and tone and sounds, but what's the feeling tone? What's the volume of the energy and how you're feeling when you move your body around? What is that sound coming through the body? So to start, I'm actually going to sit back down, because if you're already seated, I'm going to have you sit back down. I had you stand. But we're going to do a little activity that you can do anytime. If you have to work at the desk a lot or you're in a chair for a while, here's something that you could start to initiate the movement, or put a little reminder on your phone to maybe do this a few times during the day. It's an up and at 'em. It's getting up and out of the chair, but we're going to move with it. So starting in your chair, sit right near the edge of your seat. It's going to be a little easier to get up and out. Land into your legs and start to lean forward. Now, if you only want to come up just a little bit, you could just come up just an inch, or maybe just the action of wanting to come up is going to activate the legs. But if it's available today, lean forward, land energy into your legs and feet, and stand on up. And it's okay if you need to use your hands on the armchairs too. All right, just as important as getting out is, can you sit back down slowly? Now sit back down slowly, the chair's there, and take a seat. All right, we're gonna do that 3 more times. Lean forward, feel the energy turn on into your legs and feet, and stand up. You got it. And then sit back down. Yeah, and can you do these last 2 nice and slow? The slower we move, right, the more tone in the muscles we can cultivate. And sit back down. Right, and one more time, coming up. And sit back down. Yeah. All right, last time we're going to stay up. So now, whoop, get yourself up and out. Walk your feet a little closer together and check in. How does it feel? How is that feeling tone? How is the volume in the body, especially the legs? Do you notice it more? Maybe I'm feeling it in my thighs right now. Or do you notice it more in the feet, having to put weight into the feet? Right. All right, from here, resting into your mountain pose, landing in your feet. Start to feel a pull up through the legs. So the feet are grounded, but the earth is also holding you up. So can you sense the legs getting just a little stronger and steadier? And then invite that to not stop at the hips, stop at the legs, but can you invite that energy to keep growing up through the spine, up through the top of the head, and even not stopping there? Could you imagine like you have a string just very gently lifting you up even a little taller in the space around you? Now, all of that takes some structure and form. Without being too rigid, add some softness. So maybe release the shoulders a little bit more, soften the fingers and hands. Right? Where can you hold the pose? Now, last week I talked about, our postures having steadiness and ease. So where can you hold the pose steady, but also feel soft and at ease? Giving some room for the breath. And now in mountain with just the arms, let's start to move the arms. Inhale, sweep the arms up any amount. Exhale, start to bring it down. Nice. How about 2 more of those? Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, bring it down. Do it one more time. I actually love doing this arm movement too. Just wake myself up, get a little energy into me. Exhale, bring it down. Right. Now in standing, we're going to practice standing on one leg, so balancing. If you're standing and you have a table or a chair nearby to help hold on to, that is great. But start to step into your left foot, left leg, turning on the muscles of the left leg, and pick up your right foot just a little bit. I hope you can see my feet here. Just a little bit. We don't have to go too crazy and like, oh, my foot has to touch the ceiling. Pick it off the ground a little bit. We immediately shift our conversation with gravity and the stability of the body. This is really great for the left leg, right? And the bone density of the ankle bone is trying to figure things out. I always like to think of the wobbling in and out of balance is where I find my strength and resiliency. Instead of the story of like, man, I'm wobbling, I'm falling, I'm so weak, I'm so bad at this. No, it's all leaning in to accessing our strength. Right. Now with the right foot up just a little bit, we're going to go 3 times, bringing the knee out to the side. The right foot's just going to float and then bring it back in. Any amount, you're going to open the door of that right leg, turning on new muscles there, close the door. And then one more time, opening the leg out and bring it back in. Right. And then set the right foot down. Left leg is like, thank you. Maybe give yourself a little waddle into both legs before we do the other side. You can keep the chair right where it is, holding onto the chair if you like, or arms by your side if you want to play with that on this side. Right foot is going to hold us now. Right foot into the ground. Feel the right leg start to tone, skin and muscles hug to the leg bones. Still feeling tall like a string at the top of the head. Left foot lifts just a little bit. Starting to shift our focus into the right leg. You might wobble and fall out. Each wobble makes us stronger. Okay, and getting a sense of perhaps just a little more steadiness. And now with your left leg, 3 times, any amount, start to open it out to the side and then close the leg. Open out to the side, closing the leg. We'll do that one more time. Open the leg out to the side and close the leg. Setting the left foot down. Oh, right leg says thank you. And I love that feeling tone, right? When we do things that are hard, let's celebrate when we get to be relieved of the challenge. Right, resetting here into your mountain pose. Nice. Let's take the feet a little bit wider. So from mountain, step the feet comfortably wide, not super wide. Turn your toes out slightly. Like if there was a big clock on the ground, your toes would be pointing towards 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock or around there. Okay. And now start to give the knees a little bend and just kind of go in and out, and almost like we're all ballet dancers warming up here. Okay. And then when you feel ready, bend the knees, land into the shape a little bit or a lot of it. Great. And then bring your hands together in front of the chest. Now, 2 little syllables I want you to think about. I want you to think about O and Ah. Okay. Now, as you say, oh, I want you to think about inhaling. So, oh. And then as you exhale, ah. You'll get the hang of it as I be quiet. It's more of a whisper. So when you say, oh, whisper that in on the inhale and ah on the exhale. I'm kind of loud right now, exaggerating. I hope you can hear that, but it's a very slight whisper. As you inhale, you're going O-H-O, and exhale, ah. Okay. Do that one more time. And then give your legs a break. Lengthen the knees, but take your arms out to the side. Right. Now we're going to add a little movement with that O-Ah breath. So from standing long legs, you're going to take that whispering O sound as you inhale and bend back into the knees, hands come to the heart. And as you exhale, A-H, stand back up, arms out. Great. Inhale, bend the knees, hands to heart. Exhale, stand, let it reach out. Again, I hope you can hear me. I'm exaggerating, but make these little whispering wave sounds. Nice. One more time. Nice. Stand with the legs long, release the arms. Give yourself a little wiggle back with the feet and legs. And check in how you're feeling now. Man, I noticed myself, like just bringing my legs back in, that feels really nice to land back in mountain. I gave my legs a little challenge and work. Feels good to be back home, stable here. Also, what was it like to do that oh, ah breathing? There's a little sound to it. Did you notice any changes in your throat? In just a bit, we're going to kind of adapt that just a tad in a breathing exercise. But I wanted you to kind of play and do something different out of the element and some movement. So from here, arms by your side. Let's take those arms all the way up. Let's do that side bend Julie asked me about. Reaching your arms up, bend your elbows a little bit. Let your left hand find your right wrist. And now lean yourself over to the left. Ah, there's that ah. In my yoga classes this month, we're kind of using the theme of October, right? Finding the ah in our movement. Let's come back up. Maybe this is bringing in that ah. Let's hold the other wrist, left wrist. Very gently hold the wrist as you side bend to the right. Take about 2 breaths here. How does it feel? What's the feeling tone? What are you sensing in the shape? Where's the volume? And then bring it back up. Arms by your side. Right. From here, hands to the back, right to the lower back. Palms can face behind you. I'm going to turn sideways here. Soften into your knees. Start to get tall up through the trunk of the body. Roll your shoulders open any little bit and lift your heart, lift your gaze towards the ceiling without dropping the head way back. So a little standing back bend. And that might feel nice after doing all of the standing postures and tree play. As you exhale, bring yourself up and out. And then releasing the shape. Last shape before we sit back down again. Hands to the chair or maybe hands to the table or desk in front of you. Or you might not need a chair at all, but step your feet back a little bit from the chair or table. Bend your knees slightly and start to lean in for a fold. You can keep the hands on the chair or counter, or you could start to walk your hands to the thighs, landing energy into your feet, anchored to the ground. If your hands are on the legs, you could get a little curious, see what it's like to maybe reach towards the floor a little bit. Don't think you have to touch the floor, but the reach might feel nice today. And then from your fold, let's start to walk it back up. So if you're leaned forward towards the floor, hands to the legs. If hands are on the chair, start to move the hands away. Come back up to stand. And then a big breath, sweep it up. And sweep it down. Nice. A moment to land in mountain. If it feels really nice to stay in mountain right now, feel free to stay. If you're ready to take a seat or already seated, take a seat, adjust your seat so that you can feel comfortable yet steady, especially up through the trunk body. If you're staying in mountain, readjust your stance. So coming back to that idea and that breathing practice of the O's and the ahs, creating some sound and also creating a little feeling in the throat. We're going to do just a very short practice of the breath of courage. It's called Ujjayi in Sanskrit. So some of you might know of it called Ujjayi or breath of courage. Some people might have even heard it called the ocean sounding breath. And that's because the breath kind of mimics the sound of an ocean. It's a very subtle whispering sound. That sound comes from you. So it's a sound that's very close. And when Laura was talking about noticing sounds in the environment, when we do Ujjayi, breath of courage, we're creating the sound that is coming from us. It's very close where we can hear it and it's very audible. And that can have a very soothing, calming effect. It also creates the ability to be with our focus with the task at hand. So, body comfortable. Sitting up tall for yourself, shoulders relaxed. First, turn your attention to the breath, breathing in and out through your nose for just a moment. And allowing the mind to recall the activity when we were standing. As you inhale, you say OH, like oh. You draw in the air that O sound and let it brush to the vocal cords. And then as you exhale, you think to yourself, make the shape in your mouth for ah. So perhaps take 2 of these here. Inhale O. Notice how it feels in the throat. Exhale ah. Inhale O. Exhale ah. You could stay with that. Or try closing the mouth, breathing in and out through the nose, but still think O as you inhale. Notice how you create that slight whispering sound. Even the space in the back of the throat is open. And then as you exhale through your nose, think ah. As you breathe it out. And play with it. If this is new for you, just be like, oh, I'm trying something new. Listen to the body breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Should feel very soft on the vocal cords, very soft in the sound. It's like the sweetest of snoring, the kind of snoring we like to hear in bed, this little heavy breathing. Friends, take 3 more. Inhaling smooth with the inhale. Thinking oh as you inhale, spacious back of the throat, whispering that in. Thinking ah as you exhale, little gentle constriction through the vocal cords as you release the breath. After your next exhale, release the oh, the ah, any tension that might be holding in the vocal cords. Maybe even wiggle the mouth around. Reset, allow the body to recalibrate with your breath. Take a quick moment to see, what was that like for me? When might I use that? When could it be helpful? Also notice if that's not the breath practice for me today, right? All of that's great when we're mindful, seeing how these practices work for us. So thank you, friends, for allowing me to share that movement and breathing with you today. We're going to shift back to Julie.
Thank you, Heidi. I actually think you inspired an idea for the rest of the month. It's been kind of a stressful month. Every time I see October, I'm going to try a mindful snack. Like it'll be in an email, it'll be like in some PDF, October, blah, blah, blah. October. So I am going to, this was Indigenous Peoples Week, and I went to one of the WVU events and talked to some of the Native elders about, what kind of practice they might have to share. And they said the number one practice recommended is what they do every morning is gratitude. They greet the day with gratitude. They do gratitude practices surrounding many of the ceremonies and activities. So I thought I would just introduce this tidbit. Research has shown that it also works on some of we saw high blood pressure is something that cortisol can cause. Well, gratitude can reverse that. So so we can right now just tap into a little bit. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on with us. There's always something to be thankful for. I'm also going to say that our brain has a negativity bias. Our brain wants to keep us alive and well, and it's always looking for dangers and looking for little things that maybe it did, quote, wrong. Well, it's really important to take our brain and say, also, what's going on that's right. And so this isn't kind of a should, like you should feel grateful. Notice if that starts to happen, and you shouldn't not be careful about turning that into a double should. But if you do it, just laugh at yourself. But we're going to take a moment now, recentering ourselves with a little bit of breathing, maybe taking a few of those ocean breaths or an ah breath. And then tapping into an appreciation that you took the time to do something today for your health. Appreciating that you're motivated to, even in any way possible, to help relieve your own stress. Really important to acknowledge. And then you can think about others. All of us here, if no one signed up from this class and you were the only one, we would have canceled. So you can have some gratitude for all the other people that are taking this class. We're grateful to you as well. And then think about all the things in your life that, maybe it's just the feel of sunlight on your face today. If you catch a little bit of the sun, maybe it's, a smile of a loved one you might have seen, kind word of a friend, funny social media post, anything that might have brought us a little bit of happiness and joy. Feeling some gratitude for that. Appreciating any of our qualities that are, bring a little light into each other's lives. So now coming back into the room, I wanted to leave a little time for discussion. But if you, rather than going to just media articles about research, I would recommend the NIH National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. They have a lot of very highly vetted research studies on meditation and yoga. And I also want to remind you, we're talking about doing these practices, talking about some of the things to remind you of the fact that they do, can make us feel better, can make us healthier, but also taking it gently and slowly. So 20 minutes is great. But again, beginning and ending with this video, there's this sense of, it's going to be a step-by-step process. So in considering maybe what we want to do for the coming week, realizing, and creating a plan for integrating yoga and mindfulness into our day, what can we do that's just a little bit smaller than what we think we can do? Because that will leave us wanting more. So if we think we can do 10 minutes, stick with 5. If we think we can do 20 minutes, how about 15? If we think we can do a whole hour, maybe just 45 minutes or half hour. That way we end just wanting to do a little more, and we can build up to some of those longer practices. Heidi, do you have some ideas for some home practice for the week?
Home practice for the week. Yes. Yeah. So play with balance. I was actually just talking to someone at my yoga class this week, and she was sharing something just really cool. She's in her 60s and works with some that are older than her, and how she uses a lot of what she does in yoga to help her clients, because being able to stand through all the ages of our life and being able to have that support is really important. So my gift to you to play with would be, get up as often as you can, even if it's for a short amount of time, even a minute. Step into your left foot, pick up that right foot a little bit, and just kind of be there, stand and play. Even if you're reading an email, do that, step into the right foot. So give yourself opportunities to play with balance and shifting through, and remember to be kind to yourself. Wobbling in balance is where you find your strength.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And Julie, I know you're probably going to ask me next.
Yes. Is there a mindfulness practice that we can continue throughout the week? Is there audio that might help us to
Well, whatever
give
you're
us a little
listening
support?
to, right? I mean, just to be curious about what we take for granted, honestly. I love, obviously, the obvious is listening to the birds, the crickets, my cat purring. I mean, those are obvious, but listening to whatever with curiosity and openness and wonderment, and without judgment. Like, you might hear something that you used to go to and go, I'm neutral. Look at that. Right? So play around, like Heidi says often, play around and get lost in the sound, kind of become one in that present moment, like we do with our breath. When the thoughts come, we come back to the breath. Well, when the thoughts come, play around with sound, come back to the sound and see how that feels.
Yeah.
Julie?
And I didn't share that, Laura, when I was doing the Ujjayi breath of courage. How that if you would like to use that breathing practice as a meditation practice, sitting when the thoughts start to play out in the field, which is normal, totally normal, use the sound of the breath to come back in. And that's where I see it being called breath of courage. It's that courage to keep coming back, right? Not courage like I have to be so strong and courageous out in this world, but no, I have the courage to just come back to myself.
Yes.
Or the courage not to doom scroll, to distract, to actually sit and be kind of with ourselves. And those monsters under the bed are not really, they're kind of cute, as I saw last week. They're not as threatening as we sometimes think, and they will kind of memories in the past will just kind of come and go. I also want to thank those who filled out the Qualtrics surveys. What I really like seeing is a lot of people talked about getting into the body, relaxing the body and some of the tension that we hold, as well as, just really trying to learn these practices. And I really appreciate, taking time sitting in your home office, just taking a few moments to take a little snack. I think that those will make a big difference. It's like closing those tabs, closing your internet browser tabs. It really is going to, even if it's just for a short, October. Oh, I saw that they wrote October in an email. Oh, that closes like 5 browser tabs.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for us? maybe we could have the survey back up. I see that there are, maybe there's some chats. Oh yes, there's a week 2 survey. And I didn't, it kind of came right after I was talking, but yeah, balancing home life. I actually, maybe this can talk about 2 different things, but last night, my daughter had a friend over, and my home office is supposed to be off limits, and they had all this stuff because they had messed up other areas. It was the only place they had room to put like this giant amount of toys and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost my temper, and it's because it's my sacred space. But then I felt really bad about losing my temper, and I started ruminating about that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do what I can to apologize for that, but also create a boundary and realize that, oh, that discomfort that I feel means I care. And I'm just going to let it play out in a mindfulness session. And it helped me. So a lot of what stresses us out is feeling like, oh, I did the wrong thing at this moment, or I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't done this. I don't know what to do. So know that some of those things will come up in sessions, and just being able to accommodate that kind of, the messiness, or as John Kabat-Zinn says, the whole catastrophe of life, is really going to help you feel like, okay, I don't have to like hide from all these things. They come and go, and having that sense of friendliness helps you make changes that are not shoulds, but rather, I want to do it.
Exactly. They change them to
Oh.
coulds.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
kind of went on a little too long about that.
Oh, no. Yeah, our tone to ourself is so important. Our tone
Yes.
to ourself is crucial. Yeah, and thank you all for your comments of gratitude and thankfulness for
Yes.
this group. We are here because of you. We are here because of you. Like Julie said, if there was one person, I guess we'd have to cancel. So thank you for honoring you, and thank you for holding this space with us. It's very, very powerful. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. I second
Yeah.
that.
So we want to honor your time. It's 1:01. If you have anything to say, we're here for a couple more minutes if you'd like. Otherwise, we'll wish you bon voyage till next Thursday.